everyone, good morning. Let's talk about the conditioning process. Okay, I'm going to explain to you the steps how the conditioning process works. This is based on my experience and the experience of my students from LYD Awakening Program, and then from my clients. So here's what the conditioning means in the context of human design. Okay, if you look at your body graph, you'll see the the whiteness in your body graph. There's white color, white gate, white channels, white center. This is your openness. Okay, this is where you are receptive to other people. You are receptive to planetary transit. Okay, this is where you're conditioned to be the same like other people. The homogenization. This is where your not self, most of your not self lives. This is where you can find your not self, or what we call in BT5 your shadows. Okay, this is where your shadows is. Now in the openness is where your distractions is. Okay, so the conditioning process in human design means you remove the conditions that you've been living on for decades. Okay, you remove the programming, the conditioning programming from your system, and then slowly as you remove, you begin to see your true design, your true self, which is the colored part in your design. Okay, you begin to aware of your design. Okay? So that's what Ra says before you get to see your, I'm paraphrasing, before you get to see your light, you need to see your shadows. So this is what we do in Living Your Design Awakening Program. We show you your distractions, we show you your not self, any strategy, and we show you how your mind manipulates you to make decisions based on your distractions, based on your openness. Okay, now as you go through the conditioning process, it doesn't mean conditions doesn't happen. Conditioning is still going to happen, especially if you're a projector. You cannot avoid conditioning. Everyone cannot avoid conditioning. If you're not with people, the planet's still going to condition you. So conditioning still happen, but you no longer make decisions based on your conditioning. You no longer make decisions based on your open center. Okay, so that's what happened in human design during the deconditioning process. Now, the conditioning process, here the simplified steps what happened. Before human design, okay, all these distractions happens in your life. It's already there. What you experiencing after human design is the same thing you experienced before human design. The difference is that you started to see, you started to realize, you started to notice, you started to become aware of your distractions. You start to become aware of your open center and the not self. Take undefined ego, for example. Before human design, you become someone who's trying to prove yourself. You're trying to prove yourself, you do you the best. You're trying to prove yourself by making promises. You try to prove yourself by to yourself and to others by spending too much. Okay, you make promises and you cannot deliver, and you become someone who people label you as someone who always break promises. That's your distraction. You get distracted to prove yourself. Okay, and then you go through human design, you get a reading, and then you go to Living Your Design Awakening Program, or you self-study, and then you get to see, oh, this is what I've been doing all my life. I try to prove myself. So the awareness starts, you become aware of your distractions, you become aware of your shadows, you become aware of your not self. So the first steps is awareness. Okay, like Ross said, awareness is not a gift. We are designed as awareness beings. So you become aware, which is good. You're aware of your distractions, you're aware of your not self. And then with that awareness, that means, second step, that means your brain begins to explore new horizon, begins to explore new territory, begins to explore new experience. Okay, like Alokanandia said, that your mind go into a new territory and it registered a new experience. Okay, so that is why we emphasize experiment in human design, because if you're not experimenting, your brain, your mind doesn't go into a new territory. It doesn't feel how it feels like. For example, when you realize your undefined ego trying to prove yourself, trying to make promises, so you go into a new territory now, okay, you begin to realize, and then you start to feel that there's a difference between you making promises and you don't have willpower to follow through compared to before. Before, you make promises and you're not delivering your promises, but you're not aware of it, okay? And if you're trying to deliver promises, you're putting pressure through your ego, you're putting pressure to your heart center to go through that promises, and it's tired you. And then now, after human design, after you're living your design awakening program, after you get to become aware of your undefined ego, you start to realize, oh yeah, I don't have energy to deliver these promises. I don't have energy to make these promises. I don't have energy to prove myself. You see the difference? You might begin to realize, oh yes, this body doesn't have energy to make promises. This body doesn't have energy to prove itself. You are not designed to prove yourself if you are undefined ego. Okay? So, second steps, your brain start to explore new territory. This is where the uncomfortable can feel as a new experience. We are designed to live comfort in our own experience, okay? We don't want to explore new things, and now we explore into a new experience. It can be uncomfortable to experience it. And then when you experience it with the feeling uncomfortable, especially if you have a lot of openness in your design, it can be overwhelming. So the third things that you can do during the deconditioning process is what in human design we call mind while mind writing. So you write down what your mind has, what your mind is saying, without intentions of what you want to write. Just write down what your mind is saying, write down. And you can see that the mind is like a tape, repeat the same things in different words. So you can see the pattern. You actually can see, where is this dialogue coming from? Is this dialogue coming from undefined ego? Is this dialogue coming from, undefined solar plexus? Or is this dialogue coming from the mind, the undefined head or undefined Arjuna? You can see it. When you say it, it's different. When you say it, it's the observer saying what is happening. You start to feel a very different state of consciousness that you're going through right here, okay? And then number 4, beside the while mind writing, you can journal your experience if you like to. Most of the time, I'm not journaling my experience because I'm lazy in that way. I try. Okay, so if it's correct for you, journal your experience, right? So this is the 4th step: awareness and then experience to a new territory. Experiment with it while mind journal. Okay, if you feel uncomfortable, see what's your pattern, and then do journal on your experience if it's correct for your authority. So follow your strategy and authority and enjoy the deconditioning process. Don't go through this alone. Talk to people who go through this process, okay? And enjoy exploring your design, enjoy exploring yourself, enjoy live in your integrity. Thank you and terima kasih for watching. Till next time, bye.